It is a true delight to see professionals trying a case in a professional manner. Hi, folks. Tony DeWitt again with another video on the law. Remember, I don't dispense legal advice here, and this is what we're talking about today. I want to give some strokes here to both the defense counsel and the prosecutor in this case about the manner and methods that they are using in trying this case. And we're going to start with the defense attorney and his cross-examination of Special Agent Brian Fraley, the officer, or I guess the special agent from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. You may recall that Brian Fraley testified the other day, and his testimony went on into day number 2. And of course, he had to be cross-examined. And there is this myth that is perpetuated by television all the time that cross-examination has to be brutal, it has to be mean-spirited, you have to tear up and, flush away that witness at the end of the time. But that is absolutely not the right way to go about doing cross-examination, particularly on a sympathetic witness. Recall, if you will, that Brian Fraley is one of the 2 people who discovered little baby Evelyn's body in that trash can. And so he has, at this point, built up quite a bit of what I would call testimonial credit, if you will, with the jury. So if you come in there immediately and slash and burn cross-examination of him, when all he is a fact witness, it's unlikely that he has any bias other than a bias against liars, but I think almost every cop has a bias against liars. The way to cross-examine them is not to get up in their face. This may not be effective long-term in the case, but right now, this is an excellent cross-examination portion that I'm going to show you right here.
You testified on your direct examination that she had told you she knew the baby was dead, not missing.
Correct.
Now, I didn't really see that initial thing in the video. Was that somewhere else? I mean, it's obvious from the context of what you all are talking about, but had that happened before that video?
Yeah, and in my notes, she'd also talked to other investigators, and that was the first day of the 6 days or whatever day we were on that she told us that she was dead instead of missing.
Okay, do you know when did she tell you or did she tell someone else?
It was in other interviews, and again, we were all working together.
Okay.
And she'd, like I said, she'd talked with other investigators, but that was the first day. And then after that was revealed, that's when Detective Lickliner and I brought her into this room and started talking to her again, trying to clarify.
Just so we can clarify a few things for the jury, I think it becomes apparent, but there's a lady in a jail uniform as this video starts.
Yes, sir.
That's Angela Boswell.
That's her, Megan's mother.
And
yes, sir.
You all had arranged for her to be brought to the sheriff's department to meet with Megan?
Yes, sir. She asked to meet with her, and was able to do that.
Okay. And then as the video starts out, you start talking about he back a lot, and later the name Preston or Hunter Wood comes. Is that the he you all are talking about throughout that video?
Yes, sir. It is Hunter Wood that we referred to as her boyfriend.
And at some point, I guess the other thing I noticed just so for the jury's context, in the video you all refer to her as Maggie.
Yes, sir. Her name's Megan, but she was called Maggie. I think she told us that's what her nickname was from her real name.
That's what her family called her.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Now, the thing to pay attention to in that cross-examination is how even the tempo was, how both men were just responding pleasantly with one another. That's not the kind of cross-examination necessarily that scores points, but what it does is it tells the jury, okay, when my voice does get a little bit up-tempo, when my pet questions do start coming rapid fire, then you know that I'm on to something. But in this particular case, I'm not sure that's the attorney's, manner of doing this. Watch this next clip here where he essentially points out that the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, or whoever it was that was investigating this, I think it was both them and the sheriff's office, how they basically lied to Megan Boswell on the day that she was arrested.
I'm sorry, can you,
Yes, sir. When was the body ultimately found?
March 6th of 2020.
Now, there's a conversation between you and Megan about the fact that you're not arresting her that day.
Yes, sir.
In fact, she was later arrested that night by Mr. Price, was she not?
I believe she was.
She did not end up leaving the Sullivan County Detention Center from the time the detention center and the sheriff's department are all connected together here.
Yes, sir. They're connected here. Their offices are in the same building.
One large building.
Yes, sir.
So she did not leave there from the time of that interview until she was arrested.
I don't think she did.
In this next segment, the lawyer knows something, and what he knows is that there were prior searches of this property, but this particular agent wasn't on scene until March 6th. So he doesn't have the institutional knowledge of the entire investigation because he wasn't part of it. But a lot of times, what police officers do, of pretty much any stripe, is they will double down, even if they're not certain, they'll double down on what they believe, even though the facts may not support what they believe. This agent was very smart and a good testifier because he stuck to what he knew. Watch.
Now, when did you first search Tommy Boswell's property?
That would have been March 6th when Evelyn's body was found.
Okay. So, was there some reason you didn't search the property from the time she told you on February 25th until March 6th?
I can't recall specifically why we didn't, other than she had told so many lies. We didn't know if this was true or not, so there wasn't solid evidence because she had lied so much that this was the truth. So,
Are you certain the property wasn't searched before?
not by me, no, sir. It may have been searched, but
Was it searched by the TBI, or do you know?
I don't recall. I wasn't out there until the 6th that I recall.
As I have said before, it is very important if there are bad facts in the case that the person who has the burden of proof, in this case, it happens to be the prosecution, that they get those bad facts out of the way first so there's an opportunity to explain them and they don't come in a negative manner during cross-examination. And one of those facts in this case is the fact that the Tennessee Department of Children's Services took Megan Boswell, the defendant in this case, out of the parents' home at some point in 2017, while the child was a 17-year-old little girl who was apparently having problems with going to high school. Let's watch.
At some point in time, did you have problems with Megan that eventually led to her being placed in foster care?
Well, it was her mother's fault for not sending her to school. And she'd come to stay with me. And then she wanted to go stay with her mom. I said, you got to school, and we got to go to court Friday. And I said, you don't go to school tomorrow. I said, they will send you off. Well, she went to stay with her mom. Mom didn't send her to school, went to court. State took her.
Okay. Now, let's back up a little bit. This was after you and Angel were divorced.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. How old was Megan when all this took place?
The divorce, or which part?
When Megan went into foster care?
I think she's about 17.
Okay. She in high school?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, while Megan was in foster care, were you aware that she had a child?
Yeah.
Okay. And who was that child?
That was Evelyn, my granddaughter.
All right. Do you remember when she was born?
I'm so nervous today, I can tell you the date if...
All right. Which is November 2018?
That's right.
Sound about right? Okay. During this time that she was in foster care, were you working with DCS to get her back into your custody?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I done everything in my power.
Okay. What sorts of things were they having you do?
I'd meet the foster care parents on different weekends. We went to church events, different things like that. And then they finally let me get her on the weekends, and then she'd come over and stay.
All right. And did she have Evelyn during this time with her?
No, Evelyn wasn't born then.
Okay. Did you do that after Evelyn was born?
Yeah.
Okay. Because Evelyn was born while she was in foster care,
Foster care,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Now, at some point in time, did Megan or Maggie come back to live with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you remember when that was?
I don't remember the exact dates.
Okay.
But it was after Evelyn was born.
All right. Okay. So Evelyn's born in November 2018.
Yes, sir.
So it was some point in time after that?
I can't remember exactly the dates, but she was real little whenever they come back.
All right.
It's necessary to get this information in front of the jury because his credibility as a testifying individual here is going to be critical to the state's case because he was the one who suggested that they look in the shed. Of course, the body wasn't in the shed, it was in the playhouse, but that was obviously something that he could authorize a search of as well since it was on his property. And that's what led to the finding of the body. And so his credibility is really, really important here. That's why they're going through the part about Megan being removed from the home of his mother and father, which was actually two different homes. That's why they're going through that to point out that he did what he could to avoid any problems, where he talks about authorizing the search of those two buildings.
And they come back and got the phone.
Okay.
When they got the phone, they got to the gate, and I asked Ashley, I said, what about that stuff Megan put in down there in Dad's building? She said, I don't know. I said, well, call them back and tell them to go down there and look in it.
Okay. All right. And did you all call them back?
Yeah, Ashley did.
Okay. And as a result of calling them back, did law enforcement then return to your property?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what did you do once they arrived there at your property?
I told them about the building because I come in one day and I remember seeing her car backed up to the building and the door raised.
Okay. I'm sorry, could I see Exhibit 6 again?
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you push the button, you described a vehicle being backed up next to the shed. Can you on there point where?
This one right here.
Okay. You've indicated on there what's
right there. It's got a roll-up door.
All right. That's the one directly below what's listed as residence.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so, after you showed that to the law enforcement
we went
officer?
down there, I rolled the door up. There's a pile full of stuff, and as I was walking away, I saw there's her playhouse back her dad had built for her. They said, "Can we look at that?" And I said, "Do what you need to do."
Okay.
I have a good friend up in Philadelphia who's really a Philadelphia lawyer, but he believes that when you start cross-examining a witness, you just walk up and the very first question out of your mouth just punches them right in the nose, so to speak, metaphorically. It really is frowned upon if the defense attorney gets up and punches somebody in the nose, just for the record. But that's his style. He gets up and he pulls it off. He makes it work. Doesn't always work for everybody. Well, the defense attorney here tries something similar, but again, he is not he's not being ungentlemanly here.
Good morning, Mr. Boswell. My name's Gene Scott. I represent your daughter.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Same better.
I understand. Got just a couple of things I want to ask you. I guess initially, you were convicted in this court of aggravated assault on December the 9th, 2014, felony offense.
What's that got to do with this case, sir?
Yes or no?
You
Yes.
And likewise, you were convicted of kidnapping on 9/24/2014 in this court of a felony offense. Is that correct?
I took a plea bargain on it, yeah.
Were you convicted?
Because I took a plea bargain, I didn't take it to court. But since 2012, I've not had a speeding ticket.
Math?
Yeah.
Sir, you were convicted in 2014. You said since 2012 you haven't done anything.
2014. No, that was 2012.
I don't think this line of questioning is.
I wasn't convicted enough in 14.
All right, we want to move on.
I was not convicted enough in 14.
He was.
Judge, we had a jury out hearing about what he could ask as far as that was concerned, and now we're going into.
The idea behind asking somebody about felony convictions is to impeach their credibility. Obviously, if you were arrested and charged with aggravated assault, you probably have a tendency toward violence, so that's relevant in this case. And with kidnapping, well, there probably is some aspect of kidnapping here because the baby was, removed at least from the observation of other people. So it is possible that, somebody who with that background might very well be inclined to do that. But that's not the reason it's offered. The sole reason the criminal convictions are offered, and there'll be a jury instruction on this, is to affect his credibility. He's testifying, but he has felony convictions. So the fact that he did these things is not at issue in the case. His comment to the defense attorney, "What does that have to do with this case?" was probably more effective than the objection that followed it. The cross examination then continues with some other questions that have a little bit of a nexus to the case.
Mr. Boswell, I want to ask you just a few questions to follow up on your direct examination testimony.
Yes, sir.
Initially, I'll just start going backwards. We saw that drone video of your property. When was that taken? Do you know?
He stated the date. I don't remember dates and times.
That was taken after this investigation
Yeah.
commenced.
Yeah.
Correct. After Evelyn's body had been found, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. And talked about you have a gate,
Yes, sir.
clicker, and I think you volunteered in your direct testimony that appeared on the drone video. If someone wanted to walk into that property, they just have to walk around the fence. It's not, you could walk in there.
Yeah, you can walk in there.
It's not secured that someone couldn't walk in there.
Right.
And you said that Megan had a opener to the gate.
Yeah.
What kind of openers are those?
It's like a little key fob thing, and you stick them on your sun visor just like your garage door opener, sort of.
Okay. And that was something she kept in her car?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyone who had her car would potentially have that. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, somebody had her car.
You talked about a day that you saw Megan backed up to that yard barn with her trunk open.
Yes, sir.
Did you talk to her that day?
No, I was in a hurry. My boy, I think, had a seizure or something going on, and I had to get back up the hill to take care of him. But as I drove by, I seen her car backed up to that building with the door that rolled up and the trunk open, but I never seen her.
You didn't see her, just the car.
Just the car.
After getting those two things in, he drew an objection, and the objection was such that it threw the defense attorney off of his game a little bit. But then he comes right back and he asks some questions that are relevant about the gate clicker, and to his credit, you don't have to pull that out of him with a rope. I mean, you don't have to grab a hold of his tongue and make him speak. He basically admits or offers that, yeah, as long as you had the car, you could open the gate. And then he says, "I saw the car, but I didn't see her." Again, the kind of thing that can be spun at the end of this as reasonable doubt. Of course, that may not even be relevant since the child wasn't found in the shed. The body was found in the playhouse, which is where she wasn't backed up or where the car wasn't backed up. So, like it often is in criminal cases, it comes down to nuance, particularly little things can be built up. There's a great metaphor that is used in the My Cousin Vinny thing where he says it talks about the prosecutor stacking up bricks one on top of one another. And then he says, but if you were to look around the bricks, you'd find they were, paper thin. And that is essentially what the defense attorney is trying to do here. And I think he's doing a reasonably good job. He's not being overtly confrontational at this point. It is professional and very well done. And, I often criticize people when they don't do things well. And I think it's really important when they do things well to point that out. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. And come on, catch me back down here tomorrow. Thanks for watching my video. If you have a request for me to cover a topic, please send me an email to the address above, and in the subject line put video request. If you have comments, drop them in the comments down below. If you found the content worthy, please consider subscribing. Since I started doing this work, I have always asked listeners to consider doing just one kind thing every day to make somebody else smile or make their life better in some way. Please consider doing that. It makes the world a better place. Now, YouTube has some suggestions for other videos of mine you may find interesting.